Today's Choice Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends. We're looking today at the Build-A-Figure Absorbing Man. It took 7 figures to get where we are right now, and we're having a look at now the 8th figure, Absorbing Man. Figure-wise, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Absorbing Man is something you either really like or you really don't like, or really you just maybe don't even care about the character. Absorbing Man has the ability to absorb, kind of on same par as Metamorpho. I guess Metamorpho doesn't really have to, I don't think has to touch anything, but Absorbing Man has to absorb the abilities of, or the materials of whatever he touches. The one thing that he does include is the one thing you see a lot of him sporting in the comics, and that is this giant wrecking ball with chain. I mentioned this in the last video that the one disappointment to the wrecking ball, or either to the arm, is the fact that they don't match. If he's presumably touching this wrecking ball, his arm should at least be the same color as the wrecking ball, or vice versa. The wrecking ball should have been this color. I don't know if I have paint skills to go in and actually paint the wrecking ball the same color, but it's too jarring, I think, to accept the fact, well, one is paint and one is just sculpted plastic. They really should have matched the two, especially if this is the arm that I'm going to have him displayed with. Over the course of the reviews as well, we've seen that he comes with a couple of different swappable options. The one option was to have a bare arm and metal arm to go with the wrecking ball, but he also has the option of going with more of a wood arm, kind of like a wooden bark arm, and he also has a stone arm. I wasn't really going to go with the stone arm, all things considered, because I was going to keep the human arm, but then this little guy came around too, the alternate head. And I love that alternate head. Exactly like the Rhino. The Rhino had a more just calmer expression, but I didn't like the mask covering over his eyes. And then this Absorbing Man has the paint deco on his face. Maybe I don't know if I would display him with the screaming face, but I love this so much I might even consider it. To change out any of these, let's say presumably we want to change out his arms. We're just going to pop his arms off, just like that. Let's change him out to the wood, which I'm probably not going to go with, to be honest. I will, now that I'm kind of looking at the alternate face, I might actually just keep this arm and maybe just swap out the head. But just before we do that, let's have a look at the other head that we had on him currently. Now I know he's got a really long 5 head, it's almost like an 8 head in the comics, but I feel like the head on this figure is maybe just a little bit too big. It doesn't look as jarring when the face is open because, well, it kind of detracts from the fact that he's got such a very long head. It's almost a little bit too egg-shaped for my liking. I mentioned this in the other review too, kind of looks like that guy from The Hills Has Eyes. The Hill Have Eyes, you know, the original, not the remake. Let's go ahead and pop the head off here. One of the hardest to change out heads on these Build-A-Figures, such a big ball joint. I feel like it doesn't need that big of a ball joint, to be honest. Just put a little bit of pressure. There we go. Again, it's really difficult. Now, I'm not going to sit here and dissect realism in comics, but I would think that if he's touching something, the coloring would absorb all the way up his shoulder, up to the side of his head, that it wouldn't just stop and then carry up to his face. I don't know. I'm not Absorbing Man. I don't know how to absorb metals and wood and stuff like that, but maybe he can. I don't know. But this face is really cool. The screaming face, the gold eye is a nice touch, and I love the crackling in the face, which carries over also nicely into the hand and the arm. Again, you can bring in the wrecking ball, which again, just by this point, really makes absolutely no sense unless he's just not absorbing. I don't know if can Absorbing Man absorb the qualities only on, you know, his own command. Like he doesn't necessarily have to absorb this necessarily. Wouldn't that be a good way to defeat him? Just like throw stuff at him. Just like throw marshmallows at him. Here, take some marshmallows. Or take like a bar of chocolate and he grabs the chocolate and he's like, oh crap. And then somebody just like shoots heat at him and he just melts. I'm sure that's not the case. When it comes to his posability, his head is on a ball joint. Rotates back and forth. Ball hinge socket shoulders, which rotate all the way around. Rotation in the bicep. He's got a single bend elbow, rotation in the hands, upper torso crunch, rotation in the waist, and he's got the old, sadly, the old articulation in the legs, swivel in the top thigh cut, double hinged knees, and a rotation in the foot. You know, it really has a possibility for future Build-A-Figure pieces. You would tweak a little bit, of course, of this mold, but if you really want to make use of this mold, they could also give us Sandman. It's pretty much like the exact same, similar legs, really. Different torso. I guess they could just change the torso just a little bit. Yeah, I would say you could reuse this for Sandman, just give him a different head, and maybe you could even just make use of like one of these arms and just sculpt it differently. There you go, Hasbro. I did that for free. Free advice, that's for you. Okay, so there is Absorbing Man. He's not one of the better Build-A-Figures, but really if you compare him to like Hitmonkey, Rocket Raccoon, Jubilee, I think this is one of the better ones that we've seen in recent memories. You know, Marvel Legends kind of has fluctuated in the way of Build-A-Figures. Some of them have been good. The Hulkbuster has been phenomenal. Trying to think of the, I'm drawing a blank here. Green Goblin, thank you, was okay if you like the Ultimate line. Yeah, they've been hit or miss. This one I think definitely is more a hit than I would say a miss. Just wish his arm was, you know, painted the same color as Wrecking Ball, but all things considered, I think Absorbing Man turned out pretty good. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the figures that we had to look at in this set. And of course, as Spot always does, he weighs in on what figures he liked versus what figures he didn't like. I think my favorite figure, honestly, of this set, I might even give it to Spider-Gwen. I don't know if that seems a little strange to everybody, but Spider-Gwen looks very accurate to the way she looks in the comics. Proportionally, she is, I think, scaled right. And I think the coloring on the face and everything else, and the coloring on that plaid spider deco that she's got, I think is perfect. Also a big fan of Spider-Man, which I guess is no surprise either. Not one of my favorite Spider-Man costumes, but I think the figure did things really, really well. And I think, you know what, surprisingly, I think my next figure might be Morbius. Just get Morbius right there. And this is also a good opportunity. Let's move Spider-Gwen out of the way. It's also a good opportunity to kind of show you as well that, if I can get hopefully everybody's stand, that Absorbing Man I think is a good height to everybody else. Lastly, I wanted to go with Venom, all things considered, but I love this part, but I don't like the lower body. I don't know where that puts me on liking this figure. I guess if I display him in enough of a crouched pose, you may not necessarily see the short, squatty legs. There goes everybody. I also really like Speed Demon, so I don't know. I'm kind of debating Speed Demon. Let's reach off camera. Speed Demon and Venom. I might say Venom as my other favorite. So there are the 4 figures that Spot really liked in this set. Sadly, I just knocked everything over, but yeah, it was a good set as a whole. I'm really happy that the figure line turned out as well as it did for the Absorbing Man. I think, again, a lot more misses, or a lot more hits, than I would say misses, even though I can't get Morbius the now stand. So there are the 4 favorite figures from this set, and we have the Absorbing Man in the back. If you guys are interested in getting this set for yourself, you can click the link down below and head over to Entertainment Earth. They currently have this set available. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the final figure from the Marvel Legends Absorbing Man wave. Let's move Morbius out of the way, Venom, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Man. Today we're having a look at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Absorbing Man. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way and other videos heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.